have worked on bigger projects before, but haven't quite got them over the line. How does one get from here to what seems like an awfully long way away? And I know you say, you know, it's just a bit of a kind of a mindset shift, or you're just stepping outside of the box, but that is really stepping outside of a quite small box into something quite enormous. So what would you advise people with that, especially around the consulting that you do?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the business consultancy. So let me say, first of all, right, if you think you're an average person, Emma, right, then go and get an average job. There are millions of them in the world, right? Every business person that I've ever met is way beyond average. You know, we've got a gardener that comes up here. We live on a farm, and we've got a gardener that comes up here and does our gardening. Now, is he running a multi-million-pound business? No. Is he running a successful gardening business? Yes, he is. Is he an average person? No. Because if he was an average person, Emma, he would be away being a gardener for somebody else. So firstly, I don't believe, certainly as a business consultant, certainly in property, certainly meeting other business people, I don't think I've met the average person who's in business. We have to be extra special to want the stress, the hassle, the responsibility of running our own business. Now, I'm not talking about the occasional buy-to-let landlord who, you know, has a full-time job, but, you know, buys a flat and says, well, I'll let the tenant pay for that, and it's some retirement person, some retirement bond for me. Yeah, they may well be, as you quote it, I wouldn't call them that, but they may well be average. They want an average life. They want an average amount of success. They want an average job. Most of the business people I've met, be them small business people, be them huge business people, and I've had the opportunity throughout my career to meet not only multimillionaires, but also the privilege to meet billionaires as well. And none of them have been average. So the first question I would ask you to ask yourself, and it's one of the first questions I do ask people when I become their consultant, is, do you look in the mirror and see the average person? Or do you see somebody with the potential to be way beyond average? Because if you see an average person, then go and get an average job. I'm not criticizing average jobs. I'm just saying they're for average people. So none of us that are in business are average people. It's too hard a route to take to be average. And then we talk about some other things inside of the consultancy. We talk about learning basic business skills. One of the things I find, I've got to be honest, quite disappointing is the amount of people who move into business but they have no basic business skills. You know, I started my first business when I was 15, but I did my first business study course when I was 18, and I've been studying business ever since. In fact, as we sit here today, I am doing an online course with Harvard University. So many people don't have basic business skills. And one of the things that we talk about and we work on in terms of consultancy is getting basic business skills. Do you understand business planning? Do you understand cash flow forecasting? Do you understand that every business has an entrance and an exit? Just basic business skills. The other thing that happens when people dive from that world of employment into self-employment is they quite often end up having no work-life balance. They're all work and no life. And it's important that when you do this big jump into real business, that you build a work-life balance in there from day one. Don't think it's going to happen later, because it won't. If you're all work from day one, you'll probably be all work on, you know, the last day. Happiness levels at work. It's important, if you're going to spend a percentage of your life building your own workplace, that you build a happy workplace. Because all of us at some point in time have probably worked in an unhappy workplace built by somebody else. But I've also met people who have built an unhappy workplace for them to work in, which I always find a little bit strange. Improving our communication skills. I think that most businesses, particularly the property industry, is a lot based on our ability to communicate. And many people don't take the time or the effort to learn even basic communication skills. That's one thing that we work with a lot with my clients. Improving your understanding of your customers. Many people have customers that they don't really understand. So therefore, when things go wrong, they don't really understand how to fix them. A better ability to prioritize our workload. One of the things that happens when you go into business is that every job is your job. I remember speaking to a chap. I was doing some consultancy for an estate agency, and I spoke to a chap, and he'd come out of corporate and he'd moved in and bought a franchise. And I was working with him to improve his skills in terms of running a business. And I went in one day and he was really frustrated. And I said, "What's the problem?" And he said, "I came in this morning and there was no paper in the printer and there's no toilet paper in the toilet. When I worked in corporate, those things were done for me." And one of the things that many people don't understand is when you run your own small business, everything is your workload. But more importantly, what's your priority? Learning how to fulfill our own needs and wants in a healthy work environment. This is something I work on quite a bit with my clients. As I said earlier, there's no point in building an environment that you work in, but you still don't like it there. And there will be people in this audience right now, people listening to this, or people listening to this in the future on YouTube, who think, yeah, I've built my own employment and I don't necessarily feel it's a healthy work environment that I've built. You do all of these things from day one, not on day 27 or 57 or 307. Technical human skills. What does that mean? Technical skills in human interaction. Very, very, very cool words, Paul. What do they mean? It's about the ability to understand your fellow human being, and for your a fellow human being to understand you, to get what you mean and why you mean it, and to get what they need and why they need it. We've got to spend a lot of time in business understanding other humans. One of the best things I ever did in my business career was at the age of 42, go off and get a qualification in psychology. It made a huge difference to my business, my mental health, and my ability to succeed. Understanding your ideal customer. In business, it's easy to take anybody's money, but that can result in being very unhappy with not the person's money, but the person's custom. In other words, they can be an awkward customer or a difficult customer. But if you pick your ideal customer from day one and know exactly who your customer is, you ignore everyone else. That makes life not just more profitable, but it makes it easier. Achieving a business model that is not dictated by the market or your competition. You know, I'm in serviced accommodation and the chap along the road is charging X per night, so I have to charge Y per night. You've lost control of your business at that point in time, because the market or your competition are creating your pricing. So you might have sat down with a big spreadsheet and said, right, we're going to charge X per night, and then the market comes in and they charge less, and then you have to charge less. That's a bad business model. A good business model is where you dictate your prices and your competition or the market doesn't. And many people will say, well, I don't know how to do that. But that comes back to business skills and part of what we share as a business consultant. Breaking out of unhealthy work patterns. Quite often we can leave a workplace and we have unhealthy work patterns and we just take them into our own business. That's never a recipe for success. Learning how to build a business model that represents our moral values. Not the moral values of the marketplace, but our own moral values, so that we're always comfortable inside of our business. Clarity of vision. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Stephen said, start with the end in mind. And I remember when I sat down to write my first business plan when I came into property, I knew exactly what I wanted. I had clarity of vision. And here was my vision. I started with £40,000. And within 5 years, I wanted £1.2 million worth of debt-free property. I had clarity of what I wanted. I had clarity of vision. The business plan let me put that clarity of vision into black and white and make it work. And how it actually worked was we had £1.2 million worth of property in 3.5 years. And that, as you can see from a couple of the presentations, that £1.2 million worth of property in the first 3.5 years has turned into substantial millions of pounds worth of debt-free property all these years later. I would say that's about clarity of vision. I spend a lot of time helping my clients with clarity of vision. Better negotiation skills. Few of us are taught negotiation skills. What most of us are given, Emma, is we're given counter offer. Offer, counter offer. I want £100,000. I'll give you 80. And somewhere in the middle, we settle at 90. That's not a negotiation. That's an offer and a counter offer. Can you imagine that if a hostage negotiator took that attitude? You've got 100 hostages. If you only kill 50 of them and give me 50 of them back, I'll be happy. That would never happen. Because true negotiation skills are about achieving your outcome, not counter and offer and counter offer. The great Stephen Covey again. Start with the end in mind. Because when you build a business, you want to build something with an entrance door and an exit door. When you're finished building that business, whether it takes you a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, however many years you want to be in that business, there should be a clear exit where the business is worth more than the time, effort, and money you put into it. Now, people will say in property, oh, but the property's going up in value. But that's not a business. The business should go up in value. You should be able to sell the property, if it's a property business, like we are doing with our commercial properties, for one amount of money, and then the actual business itself for a different amount of money. So if you go into the entrance door of a business and say, where's the exit door, you will build natural value into that business. If you don't go in with that attitude, that skill set that we share with our clients, you probably will have a business that you've worked at for years and years that has no more value than if it's property, the bricks and mortar that you own. Working from a place of passion and not a place of need. I remember when I first started in business and I was only 15 and I'd left home and I had £15 in my pocket. Every deal, every transaction, every negotiation, I needed to do that deal, to do that transaction, to do that piece of work, because I needed the money. And it just made me bleeding miserable. And by the time I'd got to about 20 and had 5 years of being really miserable, I learned something really important in business. I should work from a place of passion, not a place of need. Because if you go to work every day and you're working from a place of passion, you never go to work. But if you're working from a place of need, you go to work every day. So there are some of the things I work with my clients, Emma, in terms of being a business consultant that can help you step out of that mindset of what I call a Me Too business. So a Me Too business is, Fred along the road is doing this, I can do it too. Or I heard this man on the internet doing this, I can do it too. And all of this skill set and mindset combined takes you to a place of I will build my business. And I will think differently than the man along the street. And I will behave differently than the man along the street. And although I might start out with the same mindset, I change my mindset. And I might start out with the same skill set, but I change my skill set. And I might start out with the same amount of money, but I change my amount of money.
I love it. Amazing, Paul. We've got some questions coming in. Are you okay to answer a few of those now? Fantastic. Look at that. Has it
we've got Q&A here. Here's one I prepared earlier, and here's some of the topics I think we could cover. I think we could cover residential development. I think we can cover commercial development. I think we can cover battery energy storage. I think we can cover the business consultancy, and the business consultancy covers a whole bunch of stuff like skill set and mindset. Amazing.
Absolutely. Okay, so there is a couple on the battery energy storage system. So I'm going to read both of them out because I think you'll be able to cover them together, and it may require, if you can, perhaps going back to your slide. But Toyo has said the numbers purchased to GDV, so and sort of around the improvements to made to the final improvements that are needed to make, I think she's saying, for the final GDV, the thinking behind each step and final outcome. And then Patricia has said, how can we get into this battery business? What skill sets do we need? Well, it's just development. What I discovered about it very quickly, and remember, I've only been in it myself for less than a year, and we've kind of, we are being offered substantial amounts of numbers, and we're not through the process yet. We've been offered in excess of £1 million for that site that we paid £71,000 an acre for. And we haven't really got to the end of the road yet. It's very much a learning curve for me. So Toya, GDV, 55 million of GDV, that will not be me. I am what my mum would call very comfortable, but I don't have a spare 55 million pounds kicking about, and I don't intend to borrow. Yeah, able to just go back to that slide, Paul, do you think? Is that something you can do? Yeah, I probably can. Let's see if people can read backwards. So we paid, let me just go back, so 50 megawatts, there's what it looks like. We paid £71,000 per acre. It was going to use about 2 acres. The project is worth 3.5 to 4.5 million. The GDV on the site will be 55, and our rental income will be somewhere between 75 and £100,000 per annum for about 45 years. So let's concentrate on that GDV for a second, Toya. We won't get involved in that GDV. We could straightforwardly sell out, but I like my projects to make money now. So I like a chunk of money, and I like some money in the background. If you look at our business model, what's interesting about it is, if you go back to our business models, which I'll just jump back to quickly, you will see that in our business models, we actually have 4 business models. But if you look at these business models in detail, property rental is small amounts of money coming into the bucket. If we imagine we're filling up a bucket. Trading is bigger chunks of money. Property development is chunks of money, and speculation is chunks of money. So we've got a 3-to-1 ratio. Small amounts of money coming in one of our business models, but the other 3 business models are chunks of money. Now, I don't know if you can relate to this, Emma. Property is about having money. Definitely. That's always, yeah, that's the point of any business, I believe. If you're not doing that, which I have done on a number of businesses where I've won accolades and awards, but I haven't been earning money, which is not a good, it's not really a business then, is it? Let's be fair. It's a bit of a charity. So if you've got small drips of money coming in, which is what property rental does, it's great, but it takes a long, long, long time. But if you can then top that up with big chunks of money and have a combination of the both, that's a perfect recipe, I think, for success. And if you look at our ratio, it was 3 chunks of money models compared to 1 drips of money model. And I think there's probably a lot of people in this audience who are completely and totally in the drips of money model. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I think you need to be in at least the chunks of money. So if you look at this deal, right, we won't be involved in this elusive 55 million because we don't have 55 million. What we're likely to do is we're likely to do a deal, right, where we sell the project and retain some of the, not just rental income, but also some of the production income from the power that the battery storage produces. So we might sell it for 3.5 million as opposed to 4.5 million,
push our rental up to £100,000 per annum, and also take a percentage of the production, energy production profits as well. So chunk of money in our hands, circa 3 million, with residual income coming in from both the rental and from the battery storage. So I'm not focused, Toyah, on the 55 million, because that will never be my 55 million. Here's the number I was focused on getting into this: £71,000 per acre times 2 acres, £140,000. And obviously we've got some connection fees and things. We'll probably be into this in total by the time we sell it out for in excess of 200,000, maybe 220, 230,000 by the time we sell it out for 3.5 million. But that will be piecemealed. And if we were looking for outside investment, you can see at this point where we've got our connection, that investment would come quite easily. So really, you know, if we weren't self-funded, we could probably have done this whole thing with other people's money. Because don't get caught up in this is what I said at the beginning of the presentation, don't get caught up in the big numbers and the Paul show, right? I'm very privileged, I'm very hardworking, and on a good day I'm a little bit smart. But forget the 55 million, because the 55 million means nothing to me, Toyah. I won't be parting with 55 million or borrowing it. That will be a partner who comes in and puts the battery storage in, and then we will take some of the revenue from that. How do you get involved? I'll go back to my statement previously. Think outside the box.